Hey guys, it's James Walsh here from the Wrestling Epicenter. I'd like to thank you for finding us here on YouTube. If you get the opportunity, please click that subscribe button as well as the notifications bell. This way, anytime that we upload any new content or new to you content from our archives dating back to 2002, you'll be notified. You can check out what we're up to. Please also check out www.wrestlingepicenter.com for all your wrestling news and information needs, as well as check out our store to keep us running free and clear. Without any further delay, let's get to why you're here. Thanks for checking out Wrestling Epicenter on YouTube. Hey guys, this next interview is with Black Bart. Black Bart was one of my favorites as a kid, seeing him in World Class. He's one of those guys that when you first saw him in World Class and saw how big and strong and how he was a winner, and then he goes to the WWE, WWF at the time, and they use him like the most impressive looking enhancement talent in history, you kind of wonder what's up with that, right? Because Kerry came in the next year, or even that year actually. I think Black Bart was still there, and Kerry came in, and they used him like a top star, but Black Bart they used as basically a WWF Wrestling Challenge jobber, and I hated that. Anyway, this is a fantastic interview, one of my favorites. If you didn't see some of his stuff in the Global Wrestling Federation, he really shined, especially during the Eddie Gilbert booked period with the Wild Bunch, and he double crosses them. It's just great stuff. And he tells great stories about the Sportatorium, which is my home away from home, even though I never was actually there. I just have so many great wrestling memories that took place in that tin building. Anyway, let's get to the interview from 2007, June of 2007, with Black Bart, the meanest, toughest, roughest wrestler in the world.
We are pleased to have as our guest the legendary Black Bart. Mr. Bart, how are you, sir?
Doing good, man. How's everybody out there?
We're doing great. Should we refer to you as Mr. Bart, Black Bart? How should we refer to you?
No, just Bart.
Just Bart. All right,
yeah.
Bart. Well, Bart, I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of yours growing up. Every day, coming home from junior high school, I'd run home and watch the GWF Global Wrestling Federation, so it's really an honor to speak with you. It really is great to have you on our program.
And I appreciate it, man. You don't know how much.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I guess the first question we have to ask you, or we should ask you, is coming up October 19th through the 21st, the legendary Cow Palace up in San Francisco, you're going to be doing an appearance at the Fan Fest, and I guess it's the first time in a little while that people have been able to come out and see you, come out and greet you. So, are you looking forward to being part of this event?
Yeah, I done a little thing get together over in here in Fort Worth, and it was just kind of some of the older guys just got together and talked, and I hear the Cow Palace thing is on a bigger scale. We're up there the 19th and the 20th and 21st, and I don't know if y'all know it or not, but I'm wrestling Ron Bass, I think, the last night there. And
yeah, I think we heard that.
I'm looking forward to getting in the ring with Bass, because I didn't know it when me and him was together, but he was got to be pretty well known out there in California and that area out there before he come to the Carolinas, and me and him actually hooked up in Tampa, Florida. So I'm looking real forward to it. I mean, I've wrestled Bass before, but we was a lot younger. He's older than I am. I don't know if that'll be a plus for me, but it may be. You can't never tell about things like that.
Well, let me ask you this question here. How often do you step into the ring these days? Is this the first time in a little while for you?
Well, yeah, not kind of, but I'd say I've had some back problems. L4, L5 fusion with titanium rods and titanium screws. They said that they said old Black Bart would be in a wheelchair and never work again and never get in the ring and wrestle again. Well, since that surgery, I've had about 32 matches.
Oh,
so
wow.
I made liars out of them. So,
How did that injury happen? Was it just regular wear and tear, or was it an injury that happened in the ring?
They try to say that I broke my back half in two a tire back 12, 15 years ago and didn't know it. And the thing that I couldn't never figure out was how does a man break his back
I not know
half
it.
in two and I was wrestling I was wrestling 23, 24 times a week in a 7-day period. So,
wow.
you know, and what I think happened, I had a regular job. I mean, we thought that we would wrestle forever. Okay.
Right.
We didn't think that, like when I started the wrestling business, there was like 40 different territories that you could go make a good living, you know, anywhere from, back then it was a good living. I don't guess it's a good living now, but we'd make $2,000-$3,000 in 7 days. And, you know, we didn't think, we thought we was immortal. I guess that's the right word. We thought that we would, when we couldn't get in the ring and wrestle no more, we would be managing, or we would be ring crew, or we'd be referees, or, you know, and that ain't the way it worked out. Needless to say, you know.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask that also at the Fan Fest, and I do apologize for interrupting.
That's all right.
Also at the Fan Fest, there's a reunion of the Long Riders, yourself and Outlaw Ron Bass against, I believe, Greg Valentine and Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Yeah. That would be more interesting.
It's
a tag match.
Yeah, it's scheduled on the card as of this recording.
As of this recording, but things are changing big time over there.
I love it. As of this recording, it's on the card now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little caption should come up that says card subject to change.
There you go.
Yeah, it's listed as one of the Friday events.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a long list of matches, and before you're in a match.
Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And Greg the Hammer.
I wish I hadn't said nothing about my back now, dadgummit. Okay, but no, I look forward to that. Me and Dr. Death goes back a long ways, and I've known Valentine's daddy, and I've wrestled Greg a couple of times, so you know it ain't no surprise to me. They'll told an ass whooping just as good as anybody else will. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
But I believe it'd be a lot more interesting that way than me and Bathurst getting in there beating the hell out of each other. But you know, there'll be a little bit more sauce to it.
Mm-hmm. James, you got the next question?
Sure. Now, you mentioned earlier, and I'm not denigrating the business, but there is only maybe, 2, maybe 3, 4 choices of territories these days, excluding things like the Fan Fest, for the younger guys to work. Do you think wrestlers have to have a different mindset these days going into the business than they did then, considering how many fewer places there is to work?
Yeah. You know, I'll use my son Joshua as a start on that, because he wants to wrestle real bad, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I do not want him to, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, after he turns 18, he can do whatever he wants to do, and to the respect of is my name, trying to help him get a step up. You know, you work for Vince McMahon. He is the only real deal going. Okay, I know we got TNA or TNT. What is that in Tennessee? And
Yep.
And that hardcore deal, Vince McMahon owns that, and after it's all said and done, I wouldn't put it past Vince McMahon to own some of that Tennessee thing going on too. They run as far as speaking to young kids and them getting into the wrestling business. I think, in my opinion, there's so many people out there that's got maybe 3 or 4 years experience in this business, and they say, they wrestle 1-2 times a year, and they think they are pros until they, in my opinion, because I'm old school, brother. I paid when I left Texas. I tried to start here. Of course, Von Erichs was the mainstay here. They made me. Are you y'all? Everybody's there, right?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. When I started getting the business, I trained for 3 years. Okay, before I ever had my first match, and I tried to get in the business here in Dallas, and they told me that no, you can't do that. You got to go on the road and make a name for yourself, and then you can come back here. So I spent 5 years out in the Carolinas working for Jim Crockett Promotions, the NWA, and getting my butt kicked, 17, 18 times a week, and for 5 years, and probably averaged, in the 7-day period in a car, we probably averaged, 10,000 miles. And that was every week after week after week. Then they would do you to the deal where you'd wrestle 17, 18 times a week and you'd make $350 while everybody else is making $5,000. And they do that to the greenhorns back then to give them character, and make them have respect for the business. And if you're going to be a wuss, then you get out, you leave. And that's the thing that's missing now in our business. Is the new guys, they think, and and don't get me wrong, my hat's off to each and every one of them. But one of the main things is paying your dues. There's no place you can pay dues anymore. Okay. So you're going to lose that character. You're going to lose that learning experience of getting your ass whooped by veterans that can whip you so quick it ain't even funny. And they go out there for 10 minutes and play with you and then whip you. And nowadays, if you took, and here again, I ain't knocking nobody, I ain't saying nothing bad about nobody, but you take some of them guys that's in WWE now, which I was up there, it was a WWF. Some of them guys has paid dues, cause I'm the guy that made sure that they paid dues. Like the Undertaker. Undertaker was a very, very close friend of mine. But he paid his dues before he got that gimmick. When he got that gimmick, he never looked back. And he deserved everything that he got. And that's the kind of what I'm talking about. Now, Triple H, where'd Triple H come from? Anybody know?
Killer Kowalski, I believe.
Killer Kowalski?
Yeah, I believe, yeah.
All right. When he come out of Killer Kowalski's school, where did he go?
WCW. WCW for a very short time, maybe like a month, maybe like short of a year, and then he was in WWF.
Not even. Maybe say let's put the finger on it. About 6 months.
Exactly.
And then he went back to the WWF at the time, and he never looked back. Right.
Right. Exactly.
But where'd he pay his dues? You understand what I'm saying? That's
right.
And I'm here again. My hat's off to him. I got nothing but respect for the guy. But for him to stand in my face and say, I paid 7 years dues. I was out on the road. I got my ass whipped. I was up and down in a car. He's been a Learjet all his life, I think. But, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about to the younger people that want to be professional wrestlers. If you go and you want to go to school, make sure that it is a respectable school, okay? That's the first thing you got to do. Because there ain't 15, 20, 30 territories out there no more that'll take you and make you pay them dues. If you pay them dues and then you get a push, you'll appreciate that push. And you'll appreciate all the guys in the ring with you making you look like a superstar. Instead of saying, hey, man, don't touch the locks. Hey, man, you hit me too hard, that is my, here again, it's just my opinion. But if they had a place, man, where they could go and they could be taught right, nowadays, the people out there that are training are just taking their dadgum money, patting them on the butt, training them for 2 months, taking $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 of their money, and then walking. And there you go, you're a professional wrestler. You know,
Right.
It's not good. It's not good business. Go ahead.
Rumor has it that you've done a little bit of training yourself, teaching a couple of kids the ropes. Yeah, one of the people that we know of is Necro Butcher. He goes by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you teach him how to be tough? Do you teach him how to pay his dues?
Did I?
Did you? Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, I'm going to tell you something. That name, and how much time have we got?
As much time as you want.
As much time as I like.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. His name is Dylan. That's his real name. Okay.
Yep.
And I'll go you one more than that. My real name is Rick. All right. I trained Dylan. He was in the Army at a base around, it's not right around here, but in Colleen, I think. He would come to my house. He would come to my house on the weekend. Okay. I was training guys. My ring was set up in my yard. Okay. And I would train them out in my yard on Saturday and Sunday. He would come on Monday and not leave till Sunday night. Okay. His family was at my house. Okay. His kids, his wife, and he was like a son to me. Okay. And I loved him with all of my heart. All right. And I'm being straight up honest. And I know this is going on the air, but I've been wanting to tell this story for a long time. Well, I trained him. I trained him for 1 year. All right. Now you talk about paying dues.
Oh yeah.
I would make them set the ring up, them tear the ring down, and them wrestle on the card, and then I would get guys that were friends with me that come wrestle for the gate. All right. We was doing one of them shows. It's probably maybe our 15th one. Well, had a deal that Dylan was to run to the ring and hit me in the stomach with a chair. All right. He come running to the ring. I'll try to cut it a little short, but I ain't gonna try to cut it too short. He'd come to the ring, and I opened him up to hit me with the chair. Well, he baseball batted me across the top of my skull, put 16 stitches in my right side of my head from my ear to my forehead. Okay? All right. Now, they ain't all the story. I'm standing there. He drops a chair right in front of me. We're standing in the ring. I'm looking at him, looking at the chair. I hold my head down. I count 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. Blood is running out of the palm of my hand onto the canvas. My wife of 25 years that I just lost a couple of years ago, Bonnie, everybody knows her.
I'm sorry, sir.
And she all the times that I was in the wrestling, in the ring wrestling, she was out in the audience. She never one time come to that ring. But that boy hit me so hard with that chair. She come to the ring, bro. She thought I was gonna die. Okay. I bent over and picked this chair up, and I hit Dylan right between the running lights with it, and it folds about a quarter across his skull. He gets halfway down. I hit him again and bend it halfway over his head. As his head is hitting the canvas, I completely engulfed his head with that chair. And he's in no man. Okay?
Wow.
But I still didn't knock him out. But we got back to the dressing room. Well, most of us are in the same dressing room. We got separate dressing rooms because I'm putting on the show. I don't know the reason. I walk over to him, and I tell him to get his stuff, pack it, and don't ever get back in my face again, or I will. That's just half of what I've done to him. To go on, and that's the last time I seen Dylan, and that's the story of me and what's his name? The wrestling name?
Necro Butcher.
Yeah, Nitro Butcher. Yeah, Booker. Yeah. He went, when I trained him, he started wrestling in other places, and he went bonkers on me. But between me, you, and him, and y'all and him, I still love the kid, and I always will. So, and I ain't got no hard feelings against him or anything like that. But every time I hear that name, that's what I think of.
You think of that shot, right?
When that doctor was taking them damn 16 staples out of my head, was a hell of a lot worse than when he hit me with that chair. So that's the story on him. But if I see him in the dressing room, I'll hug his neck and tell him I love him. Okay, that's the story about me and Dylan.
Excellent.
Okay.
So is there any other kids? Is there any other kids out there that you've helped to train that you think we should keep an eye out for?
Well, I train, there's one kid out there, he's a bartender. He's he's in California, I think, LA. I can't even, we put him like a cousin of the one of Von Erichs or something. He looks a lot like him. I'm trying to remember his dadgum name. he calls me about twice a week out there. Good looking kid. Shay Douglas is another one I trained at. But they, there's no place for him to go big. There's no place for him to, unless he gets to work with Vince McMahon and he likes him.
Right.
That's pretty much it. I trained another dude. His name's Aaron White. Big kid. He wrestled maybe 7 or 8 times. He's a foreman. I got him on with Flowers Construction out of Fort Worth, Texas, and he quit wrestling. And he's a foreman now, and over there doing that. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, I've trained 175 guys. The ones that stick out in my mind are the ones that I trained that are superstars. Like Diesel, Sting, Rick Steiner, Scott Steiner. We trained them guys. They signed contracts with the NWA, which was WCW, and then they put them in the ring against me and Ronnie Bass and J.J. Dillon to on-job train them. And they were making more money than we were. I mean, that's the honest to God's truth. That's the way it was done. Rick Rude, the Road Warriors, just about anybody during our era that was going to be tag team partners. We had them for at least 9 months to a year before they got to move on. So,
right.
That's pretty much it on that. So.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned the shots that you gave him with the chair. You mentioned the shot he gave you with the bat and all that stuff. But you were kind of you breast knuckles champion in GWF. You kind of really were, you guys, down at GWF and Global. And I know that's at the legendary Sportatorium, which I think they just tore down not long ago.
Yeah, it's been tore down now about 5 years. There's a parking lot there now.
I know.
I go by there quite often and say, man, the times, if them grounds could talk, brother, stories they could tell.
Between World Class and...
Go ahead. There you go.
I said between World Class and later years with Global, I mean, you spent a lot of your career there.
Yep, bunch. A bunch.
Well, the question I was getting at, though, was you kind of were what they now call hardcore before hardcore was identified.
Hardcore, yeah, exactly. Y'all ever heard, I know you have, you ever heard of Frank Brody, Bruiser Brody?
Yes, sir.
Yep, absolutely.
Frank was kind of like my mentor, so to speak. When I left and I come back to World Class, they dropped that belt, that world belt on me in Fort Worth, Texas, and I beat the English dude, Chris Adams, in El Paso, but I mean, it just kind of got dumped on me. Well, Bruiser Brody, and this is talking about World Class now. Bruiser Brody was wrestling as Bruiser Brody, of course. Well, he lost a match to the big black guy, not Kamala, but the other one. I can't remember his name.
Ernie Ladd?
But, he come back as Red River Jack, okay? Now, me and he come back as Bruiser Brody come back under a white hood because he got suspended as Bruiser Brody. He couldn't wrestle. So, he come back with a white mask, same outfit, same boots, everything else, just a white mask. And probably other than Mike Davis, Maniac Mike Davis, Frank was my friend. Okay, and me and Frank would get in the ring and talk about hardcore, brother, but just trying to knock each other out. You know, it was a game. And I never knocked him out, and he never knocked me out. But, brother, you talk about some knockdown drag-outs, we had them. Me and Maniac Mike Davis, he finally popped when I mentioned Mike Davis.
Yeah.
Have you been around him?
Not been around him. I was just a big fan of his, especially the Maniac character. I thought that was just one of the funniest characters I ever saw.
One of the best, brother. Me and him get in the ring, 15 minutes, and never lay a finger on each other, and have the people in the ring with us. And never, and it's the damnest thing I ever seen in my life. Never touch each other. He would act like he was grabbing me on the butt, and then, oh man, Maniac died.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, Christmas Day, about 4 years ago. He walked in his. See, I met Mike out in Georgia, and Mike, me and him just clicked. I mean, right off the bat. I mean, best friends, drinking beer, chasing women, the whole 9 yards. He asked me one night. He said, "Where do you live?" I said, "I live out in Texas, man." He said, "Where at in Texas?" I said, "Granbury, Texas." He said, "Granbury, Texas." I said, "Yeah, Granbury, Texas, about 50 miles west of Fort Worth, Texas, Cowtown, dadgummit." Right. And he said, "I'm going to look it up on map." I said, "Okay." Well, about 2 years later, Maniac Mike Davis moved to Granbury, Texas. so, brother, me as far as friends goes, me and Maniac was best of friends, man. Best of friends.
I just love that character. I love the evolution, how he went from a tag wrestler and how that evolved into the silly boxer shortwear and slipper wear and wrestler.
Yeah,
that
unbelievable.
That was great.
Wear that furry boot and wear another wrestling is great, man. He gave me a pair of shorts of them. The white ones with the hearts on them. I don't know if you remember them. Them was his favorite. Them was his favorites. He give them to me. I got them in my drawer over there. Of course, I couldn't get my fat ass in them, but he gave them to me anyway.
One of a
unbelievable,
kind,
man. Unbelievable.
I actually have a question about the Sportatorium, and if is it true about the French fries?
The French fries?
The French fries. Percy Pringle tells a story about how they drained the French fry, the grease for the French fries at the concession stand, and they found little bones inside them, inside there. I wonder if I don't know if you were there at the time, but I just wonder if that story is true.
Well, yeah, didn't they say that it was rat bones?
Yes.
Yeah. I know we were sitting in the dressing room, and we get real quiet back there, and you could look up on the rim of the ceiling, and some of the biggest damn rats would come out you ever seen in your life. So, yeah, some of them could have fell in that grease. I thought you was going somewhere else with that. Maniac Mike Davis, and I'm going back to Maniac. Story on Maniac Mike Davis.
Sure.
Killer Tim Brooks. Do you know about that?
Yes, a little bit about it. Yeah, give me a little more.
They fought. They was in a knockdown drag-out, brother, and they fought to that very French fry place.
Oof.
And somehow, I guess the guy running it or whatever got grease thrown on him, got burned. And really, and I'm not going to say who done it or why or anything like that, but there was a big lawsuit on that, man. and them bones come up. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. If this is the way that Fan Fest is going to be, I'm going to have too much fun there, brother.
Well, I hope so. Well, I got to tell you, the Sportatorium again. You guys pretty much were way ahead of your time with World Class, and then Global. Really, and in my opinion, based on my just being a fan, I can't tell you if this is the way it was. It seemed like a lot of what you guys were doing was being done 3 years later by a company called ECW, and everybody thought it was brand new.
Exactly.
You think so?
And if I agree with it 100%. But you can go back further than that. You know, there's another Sportatorium, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Where is it at?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
No.
Oh.
No. There's another Sportatorium. That's actually older. There's another Sportatorium, actually older than the one in Dallas, Texas, in Tampa, Florida. Okay. For you to be anybody in professional wrestling, you had to come through the Sportatoriums, either Tampa, Florida, or Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing before I come back to Texas, and we were doing 5 years before that. Okay, you said 3 years at Global prior to ECW. Okay,
right. Yes, sir.
All right, it was going on probably 10 years before that under Dusty Rhodes as the booker in
Florida Championship,
the Florida territory. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But see, back then, this is why they could do it. Back then, they left other territories alone. Okay, you didn't go, to put Jim Crockett stayed in Jim Crockett's. I'm talking about senior now.
Right.
In his area. Okay, Vince McMahon Sr. stayed in his area. Okay, in his bound, and all the rest of these other territories respected that and stayed there until this is what downfalled every small territory. Now, being small territories, anything other than the Carolinas and New York. All right. Now they were big territories. You know, AWA. You know, they were huge, but they stayed in their own arenas, their own area. They didn't jump over and run a show at Madison Square Gardens. When that started happening, all the little territories started fading because they couldn't keep up because they didn't have enough money to keep up with Jim Crockett and Vince McMahon Jr. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's why if you made it in a big territory like Carolinas or WWF or NWA or WCW, you had to come through the Sportatoriums, 2 of them, either Florida or Texas. That, there's still one left, and it's actually older than the one that they just tore down here recently in Dallas.
Really?
Yep.
And do they still do wrestling there?
That I don't know. I ain't seen nothing or anything like that. But I do know the building's still standing because one of the guys that got me booked at the Cow Palace told me it was still standing. So, I believe it. So,
excellent.
When you talk about the Sportatorium, and what I'm getting at, the history, everything that went through there, everything that happened there, went on 10 years prior to that at the Sportatorium in Tampa, Florida. Because we were doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, before me here, they had a Mantell was Johnny Mantell's brother, Kenny Mantell, was the booker. Oh. And he got a team called the Freebirds and throwed it off against the Von Erichs. And, brother, they blew this thing wide open. They were doing, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 houses here before anybody was. Oh, and when it spun off, and all the guys that was here went out in the other territories, they carried the same ideals that they were doing here in Texas, and blew the territories, the smaller territories, blew them wide open and started selling out houses, doing the same stuff that they were doing here. And that's the way wrestling's always been.
Exactly.
So,
Well, you mentioned one of your other former tag partners, Mantell, but another tag partner that you have who still mentions the Sportatorium almost every week as an announcer on SmackDown was JBL, John Hawk, I think he was called back then. How do you get along with him?
Yeah. I get bored, little boy, Johnny Hawk. Love him, God, love him to death. Won't talk to me on the phone. Won't call me. Try to talk to him, he won't talk to me. I guess they think we're wanting a job or we want to borrow money or something like that. But with me, I've always worked for a living and I can make money. That ain't no problem. Sometimes I talk, the Hebner boys. I don't know if you know Dave and Earl Hebner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
okay. They got me in contact with Johnny, and Johnny he didn't want to talk to me. I was below him, I guess. I don't know. And and I trained him. Him and Bob, he come. Okay, I'm gonna give you some stuff on him and Bobby Duncombe Jr. come to the Sportatorium. They fresh out of arena football. I don't know if y'all know that or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me and Johnny Mantell had to train them in the ring in front of the crowd at the Sportatorium, and both of them greener than owl shit. Excuse my language.
We can edit it. Don't worry.
Bobby Duncombe, y'all can edit it. Bobby Duncombe would be standing flat-footed in the ring and go to fall backwards, and he would what we call a tater. It would hurt. It would hurt.
Yeah.
He would hurt you. He would hurt you.
Yep.
Well, I got in the ring with him, tried to do a couple of spots. Johnny standing over on the apron, and I mean, this kid is just beating me to death. I hit him, he hits the mat, and I get hurt. Now figure that. He's kicking me. He and I try to back up from him, and he's still kicking me. And I told him, I looked over at Johnny Mantell. I said, Johnny, I'm at my end. I'm at the end of my rope. I don't know what to do. He said, he can't be that bad. I said, Johnny, here. I tagged Johnny. He got in the ring with him. Johnny does this deal, duck the clothesline. The kid hits the ropes, comes off and gives Johnny a tackle. Hits Johnny so hard, brother. You know, that announcer's table's right there at the Sportatorium, and the announcers are sitting right there. There's one empty chair sitting right there in the middle of two announcers. Johnny hits his head on the back of that table and flips him down in that chair. And Johnny looks up at me and says, "You're absolutely right, Bart. I don't know what to do with this kid." Needless to say, the match is over. We got in the ring and beat the living shit out of Bobby Duncombe Jr. His dad called me that night. Bobby called his. Now me and Bobby Duncombe Sr. We go back to the Carolinas, brother. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Why?" He said, "Why did you do my son like it?" I just told him what I told y'all, and he said, "Bart," he said, "just please keep doing that kid like that and try to teach him something." And he went to the Carolinas and got doing good down there, and then died. I don't know the reason behind. But back to Johnny Mantell.
Yeah.
Not Johnny Mantell, Johnny Hawk. Johnny Hawk was probably the best talent that I have ever. I mean, green talent, not a Ronnie Garvin or Bruiser Brody or Mike Davis, but Johnny Hawk was. You just knew. I mean, you knew that kid was he's going places.
Oh yeah.
And, I mean, I kind of took him under my wing. Me and Johnny Mantell did, and we trained him. And he turned. I guess he's still a good kid. I hope he is. We was in a bar. We was in a bar out in El Paso. One of my favorite stories on Johnny. We was in a bar, and he was up trying to. Maniac was there this night too, and a couple other guys. I think Johnny Mantell was there. I think a couple of Von Erichs was there. There was about maybe 7 of us and about 500 Mexicans in this bar. But Johnny challenges the pool table, and Johnny gets up there and runs the damn table. Well, the little Mexican guy that he just whipped come over there and said, "You've got to call the last shot." I think it was call the last shot. No, before you start sinking your balls, you got to call each shot. Well, in the state of Texas, the only ball you have to call your shot on is the 8 ball, right?
Right.
That's the rule. I don't know what the rules are there, but that's the rules here. Okay.
Yep.
Well, Johnny sinks all these balls and then calls the 8 ball, and the little Mexican guy says, "No, you got to call every one of them balls before you make that. You didn't win the table." And I mean, Johnny went ballistic. I mean, screaming, hollering, stomping, snorting. I walked over and said, "Johnny, what's wrong, brother?" He said, "Mr. Bronny told me that I had to call every ball." And I said, "Johnny, look around you, brother." I said, "There's 500 Spanish people in here and about 7 or 8 of us. We're going to get killed, brother." Needless to say, I've been drinking about 24 beers, and so has everybody else too. But Maniac come over there and said, "Bart, what's the problem?" I said, "There ain't no problem." I walked over to the dadgum little Mexican guy, and I got down his face, and I mean, I just unloaded on him. An interview from hell. I mean, I pulled him up one side and down the other. Johnny pulled me off and he said, "Bart, what are you doing?" "That's what I was doing. You told me to stop." I said, "Well, we got to fight. We might as well all get into it because we're going to fight our asses out of this bar." We slid out the back door, got in our cars, and went on to the next bar. So, that's, okay. One of the stories on Johnny Hawk.
Wow.
Okay, well, I got a couple questions. I have a tape here from an appearance you made, WWF Challenge. I think you wrestled Snuka, Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah.
All right, now, I know you were there for a little while, WWF. How come, and this, I'm not trying to be offensive, but how come you weren't, it seems like you weren't a huge star there. I mean, why weren't you a huge star?
I wasn't. And it wasn't my fault. Brother, here again, if there's anybody in our business that is a no good snake in the grass, it's Vince McMahon. Okay? I don't know how far you go back, but it seems like y'all go back pretty far on your history. You remember when Ronnie Bass was wrestling Beefcakes and he lost the hair match?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Well, Bass, he lost the hair match and got his head shaved. They called me, and I was on top in the NWA going in, fixing to start WCW. And Bass called me and said, "Vince McMahon wants you to come down here for a 3-day tryout." Keywords, 3-day tryout. All right? Now, I've already made a name for myself. I was already on top.
Right.
I done held numerous belts and had my ass whooped, paid my dues. And I said, "Big Bart," I said, "Brother, we ain't going back paying no dues, okay?" I didn't go. Well, 3 months later, I get a call from Bass, and Bass tells me, he says, "Bart, you really screwed up." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because they're going to put me and you back together as the original Long Riders with J.J. Dillon. You remember Black Jack Mulligan?
Yes,
He was going to be Beefcake's tag team partner. Well, Mulligan would end all of his interviews up there with Sarah Jo Puckett Says. I don't know if you remember that, but the kicker was they were going to make my wife Bonnie Sarah Jo Puckett as our valet. But I didn't know that, so I didn't go. Okay, so Vince McMahon brought me up there I think it was in 1990,
Uh-huh.
maybe 89, 90, because I left up there in 91, and I was there 13 months.
Right.
Vince McMahon got me up there and signed me to a 2-year contract, no money, but paid me like I was in the main event. Okay? I made a ton of money. 4 days before Desert Storm, he called me in with that TV taping up in Connecticut somewhere. Heck, I hate that place. But he called me in and said, I got to let you go. He called 18 other guys in behind me one at a time and give us all our notices. All right? The last meeting I had with Vince McMahon, he told me the only reason, Bart, I brought you up here is to show you what could have been. All right? Now, does that explain why Black Bart didn't get pushed in the WWF?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's fine. And I've
So
got
you
other
think he's
stories
manipulative?
why, but right now I don't want to. I don't want to go into them because I may be writing a book. So,
Excellent.
yeah. I can't write, but I got people around me that can. I don't know. I don't like talking bad about anything because everything I've done in the business, every minute, every second I come from a not a poor family, but my dad had to work every day. Seems like he was always working, but we always had fishing time and hunting time and family time. And my first match in the business, my first weekend in the business, I was pulling the ring. I was setting the ring up. I was pulling the ring with my truck using my trailer. I was loading the ring by myself, setting the ring up by myself, tearing it down, loading it up a flight of stairs to get it back in the gym where we could have workouts the next weekend. Where I used my own gas, didn't get paid nothing for gas, and I made $8 for that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And brother, I thought it was. I said I can do this and make money. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of having to go work a 40-hour job and make $200, $300 back then. I'm probably 76 now. No, the wrestling bit. I don't like saying nothing bad about the business, even if it is about Vince McMahon. Because when I got up there, and I was up there for that 13 months. That 13 months was the worst time of my life. One of my goals was to wrestle Madison Square Garden, and I didn't care what promoter or anything. All I wanted, that was one of my major goals. Okay, I wrestled Madison Square Garden. They park your butt. You go up there in a taxi or limousine, and the taxis won't go near the building. You have to tote your bags like 7, 8, 10 blocks, and you have to use your bags as weapons to fight in and fight out. Okay, and it was the most horriblest letdown in my wrestling career was Madison Square Garden, but that was my goal, and I got to wrestle there 8 times. So the last 7 times, I dreaded it. Brother, Vince McMahon paid money for what we done, and you'll never hear me say nothing bad about that part of it. There's a lot of other stuff that he done that I didn't agree with. If he told me, if I was on contract with him right now, and he told me that I had to go in that ring, he's going to drop his drawers and I was going to kiss his ass, I'd tell him to kiss mine. Okay? That's one of the reasons that me and Vince McMahon, and he sent some of his cronies after me to find out if I was a switch hitter or if I would go the other direction, and he found out real quick the answer to that was absolutely no. And that's what happened. That's what happened to Black Bart in the WWF. But I've got a lot of stories I can tell about the WWF, brother. So,
well, I actually do look forward to that book. You go ahead, James.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be a fun book now. again, I really can't thank you enough for your time, but I did want to ask you, going back to Global real quick, how come Global didn't really, it did great numbers and all that, and you had the ESPN TV deal, but what brought that to a close? Because one week it was on, the next week it seemed like it wasn't on no more.
Yeah. Okay. The money behind Global was for Chin. What was that guy's name? He was a big. Other ones. He
Joe
was a large. Yes, Joe. Yeah, Joe.
Joe Pedicino.
Instead of Joe coming here and Bonnie, his wife, one of the best good-looking interviewers I've ever met in my life. He tried to run it out of Georgia, and I think that was his major downfall. Another thing, he had no qualms about signing guys to big giant contracts, most especially young guys without experience. And once they signed that contract, it was Katie bar the door. They wanted all the old timers gone and all the new timers in, and the new timers couldn't cope the matches that the Sportatorium was used to. And that's my opinion. Okay, Everybody's got one, but that's my opinion. I believe if Joe would have actually took control, because he was a smart guy. I mean, he signed them for such big contracts, and he just the older. I mean, at that time I wasn't an older guy, but I had been there. I'd been down the road. I'd been there and done it, and he paid the older talent. He paid the chicken feed, and them guys, once they got them contracts signed, brother, there was no dealing with them. I mean, none. And there was a lot of real ass whooping going on in that ring that everybody thought it was wrestling, but it was a honest to God ass whooping going on. And to me, it's just like now. You turn the TV on now, man, and it's girls stripping and guys grabbing their privates and guys cussing. I used to go to Atlanta TV, which was a superstation, and I would cut interviews. For 7 or 8 hours, and I had to cut interviews for guys that didn't show up. I had to cover that, and then we had to wrestle Saturday mornings. We had to wrestle maybe 6 times, 7 times, and then we drove from there to a little town just above, and there's another local TV taping. We had to wrestle 3 or 4 times there, and then you went to a house show that night. To me, the old what happened to Global was to give it to the green guys too soon. Period.
And it seems to happen. Seems to be the pattern with these business, because that happened in WCW too. A lot of times.
Almost every, and it's, I don't know. To me, the veterans of this business, there's not but a few, getting recognized that blazed this thing to make it what it is today. Even though it's Vince McMahon's, it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be there without us. If we hadn't have done it, been there, done it, and went through it, and the blood, the sweat, and the tears, and the fans thinking whatever they want to think about it, whether it's phony, fake, or whatever, it's not. The pound in your body takes. I look forward to nights that I wrestle Maniac Mike Davis, because I wouldn't get knocked on my ass. I wouldn't get smacked in my ears. I wouldn't get my nose broke. I wouldn't get my teeth knocked out. And it was a relief. It's like having a day off and going out there and just having fun and doing what you know how to do.
Here's a more kind of funny question, but what in the world ever happened to Brandon Baxter?
Well, I know, I don't know if you know his son, not his son, but his little brother. I see him around every now and then. He does little small promotions, and I think Baxter is in isn't he in that TNA thing?
Is
Doesn't
he?
he work up there? I believe he does, yeah. He's a manager up there.
Really?
I believe it. Now, I'm not for sure. But I think he is.
Huh.
I try to watch him now and then, but I mean, because them are the guys up there in that Tennessee thing going on. Is the guys that I mean, I come down the pike with Sting and Steiners, and I don't know if the Road Warrior is up there. Mike died.
No.
The big Joe's still alive. But y'all do know that, what was it, I think it was Friday morning, or no, Saturday morning, Sherry Montel died?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Horrible
She
news.
was very, very, very close friend of mine, man. I mean,
Well, she was one of a kind.
Yeah, that knocked me. She was my, when I was in the WWF, she was my Southern connection, brother. She was a sweetheart, and if any of her family hears this, my condolence to the family, and I loved her with all of my heart. It just blew me away, man. Blew me away. I couldn't. I think she's 49 years old, man.
She's too young, and I mean, I wrote this on the website, but she did one of those things called a shoot interview. I'm sure you're familiar with what they are. She sat down and did one of those. And I sat there and watched that thing for 4 hours, and it was shortly after that when I saw that I decided, you know what, I want to start doing something with the wrestling business, trying to get involved and doing things like what I'm doing with you here now, and actually bring something to people, because these people have something to share. And I mean, I got a chance to tell her that. I got a chance to talk to her, and she was just such a sweet, genuine, good person.
Unbelievable.
We're going to miss her, man.
Some of us are, bro. Some of us, and I know Sherry is the same way as me about the business. We dearly love the wrestling business. Maybe not what it's become, but what it was. Heck, brother, it's my life. It's still my life. I walk up and down the streets, people recognize me, even though I don't look like Black Bart no more. Actually, my body is better, but I ain't got the long hair, and I ain't got the beard, and I got gray, But, people still recognize me, and they don't walk up and say, "Hey, man, you're Black Bart." They walk up and say, "Hey, man, I know you. I've seen you before," And then you tell them who you are, and then they go bonkers,
All right.
One thing I dearly, dearly love the wrestling business, and the day they plant me in the ground or do whatever they got to do to me after I'm gone, there'll never be words uttered that I've done anything except try to help the business, because the wrestling business has been my life, and it'll be my life to the day I die. I do other things, but it still goes back to what I've done and everything I've said. I'm not ashamed of none of it, and I won't be. So,
is that why you think people like Flair won't stay in the ring and keep doing what they're doing, because it's in their blood and they'll never know anything different?
Well, you hit another bad note with Bart.
Uh-oh.
You get me going on Flair, brother.
Well, we're not exactly the biggest Flair fans, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, you remember the Desperados? Me and Randy, Dutch Mantell.
Dutch Mantell, yeah.
And Randy Colley, one of the original Moondogs.
Yes,
we did
sir.
a sitcom. We did a sitcom, brother. It was called Looking for Stan Hanson. Stan Hanson didn't have a damn thing to do with it. But they rented Ghost Town in the Sky up in the mountains up there in North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a western town. One end of it is a western town, and they have gun fights and saloon girls, and they rented it for 3 days. We went up there and cut a sitcom, brother. It was like 90 minutes. We got 90 minutes of footage. It aired on PBS. It was supposed to be sold to Fox Network when Fox Network was just kicking off, brother. We would have been forevermore burnt into people's minds. Well, it aired, and my good friend and colleague and buddy and beer drinking party and woman chaser together and all that stuff went to Ted Turner and said, you give them 3 jabronis all that TV time and you give your world heavyweight champion none. And he was a whole program, brother, okay?
Uh-huh.
The reason I know this story is true because it wasn't anybody had anything to do with wrestling. It was the actual producer of this, the Ghost Riders. I'll get it right here in a minute. Of the sitcom, and he called me and said, "Hey, man, your good friend Ric Flair just slit your throat. We were supposed to sign back then. You know, this was good money. You know, $280,000 contracts a year, and they kindly got tore up."
Oh,
damn.
So when you speak to me about Ric Flair, I got so many stories about Ric Flair. And here again, I still love him. But you know,
sorry to interrupt, James. I am really looking forward to this book.
Let me take.
You know, sir, I'll help you write it for free. It's just to hear these stories.
Well, there's so many stories that you know they had. I'm in, and I don't mean to be for trying to put out anything else or anything, but we're doing a big one in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know if y'all heard about it up there or not. We're doing like a fan fest up there. All right.
really?
Yeah, some big giant motel or something. I don't even know the name of the motel. But you said something about a shoot interview.
Yes, sir.
And I know what a shoot interview is. Didn't you a while ago said something about Sherry was doing a shoot interview?
She did a great one, a 4-hour one, and it was that one that really made me want to get involved in it.
Brother, I ain't never heard of a shoot interview till I talked to these dudes in the Carolinas. All right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They want me to do a shoot interview, a 2-hour shoot interview. Okay.
Right.
And I told them, I said, well, you know, if somebody, you know, it's kind of hard. It's not hard for me to talk about the business for 2 hours because we're almost going on 2 hours. But it's not hard. It's not hard. What's hard for me is y'all keep feeding me, and it brings stuff back in my head. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I remember, all right? But they want me to do a 2-hour shoot interview on the promoters. Do y'all think I can get 2 hours in on Vince McMahon or what?
I think you probably could.
Yeah, I can, brother.
I think they're going to have material to edit.
Yeah, because you know, like you know, and you know, I'm still Black Bart. I'm still I drink. I don't drink as near as much beer as I used to, but I still have 4 or 5 beers every day. And on Saturday night, you know, and Sunday, I drink 10 or 12. That's the way I've always been, and I ain't never hurt nobody. I ain't never cost nobody their jobs, and I never will, because that's just it's not my nature. If you can't fly on your merits, then brother, you don't need to be flying, and that's the way I feel about it, man.
All right, man. Well, we really are looking forward to this book. We're really looking forward to. I think I might be making the trip up to San Francisco, so I'm looking forward to shaking your hand and getting a chance to thank you for doing this long interview with us. We really do appreciate your time here, sir. Chris, did you want to?
Brother, y'all know.
Yeah, well, let me just conclude with Russell Fan Fest 2007 is being held at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California on October 19th through the 21st. In addition to meeting Black Bart, you can meet Outlaw Ron Bass, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Kurt Angle, Dr. Death Steve Williams, and many other legendary performers.
Just signed. Roddy Piper's been signed.
Ooh.
Yeah, just to let you know.
Piper's gonna be there, brother.
Uh-huh. All right, so Black Bart, was anything?
When we're off the air and we're up there drinking cold beer, I'll tell you some stories about Roddy Piper. I can't tell them on a recording, brother.
All right. Well, did you want to say anything to your fans for the last thing to close this out here?
I'm looking real forward to being at the Cow Palace. and and I'll make a promise. As long as they send me my tickets, I'll be there. And I'm looking forward to being out there. I ain't been out there in a long time, and I've wrestled in the Cow Palace, and I've wrestled in that area out there, and I'm looking forward to shaking everybody's hand. The ones who want to hug and kiss Mo Black Bart and get that too. I'm looking forward to it, man. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all talking to me this long. Most people done hung up on me.
My name is James Walsh, and I'd like to thank you for checking out the Wrestling Epicenter here on YouTube. If you have not done so already, please do. Click that subscription button and the notifications bell. This way you'll be notified anytime I upload any new or new to you classic content from our archives that date back to 2002. If you get the opportunity, please also check out www.wrestlingepicenter.com for all your wrestling news and info needs, as well as our store to keep us going free and clear. Without any further delay, let's get to why you came here, the content here on YouTube.